good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And here we have a game from a few weeks ago with myself, Mr. G, and Dave. Myself and Mr. G are in the Kutuzov, and Dave's in the Erland, the Pan-European destroyer. And we'll see what we get up to in this particular game. Now, Mikhail Kutuzov was the Commander-in-Chief of the Austro-Russian force in the coalition, Commander-in-Chief of the Imperial Russian Army in the Patriotic War of 1812, and looked a little bit like that. He fought in the Russian-Turkish War, the Second Russian-Turkish War, and the Third Russian-Turkish War of the 18th and early 19th century, as well as the Napoleonic Wars, which lasted from 1803 to 1815. Now, quickly back to the game, and as you can see, Dave, Mr. G and myself were heading up to the sea cap, and I'm looking to send out some speculative shots at very long range against the enemy Erland, trying to dissuade him from getting in Dave's way as he makes his way up to the sea cap initially. Now, the Kutuzov was actually a real ship, and she looks a little bit like that. It's currently a museum ship, permanently moored now at Novosibirsk. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. And she was originally the 68 BIS light gun cruiser, factory number C-385, laid down in February 1951, and on the 9th of August 1954, the naval ensign was hoisted above, designated the joining of the United Soviet Socialist Republic's Navy. It's when they considered her the birthday of the ship itself, and she joined the Black Sea Fleet, part of the Instant Readiness First Line, until October 1988. She was removed from her, in inverted commas, duty as a naval vessel on the 28th of August 1998, and on the 23rd through to the 25th of August 2001, she undertook her last voyage from the shipyards at Sevastopol with a tugboat to pull her along to her final and current mooring spot in Novosibirsk, where she is a floating museum. Now, back to the game. Dave's managed to secure the sea cap, and the enemy Erland has decided to back off from the fire that we've been able to send in his direction, and we get the usual standoff on the corner of D7 and 8, where the cruisers on our team are hopefully able to position themselves to lob some shells over the islands and remain unspotted. However, as you can see, I'm being spotted myself. This is more than likely going to be the Charles Martel out wide, or possibly the Erland, or even both. Also noticing that my priority target skill was showing me that there was only one person aiming at me, and as I was zooming in to take shots at Edinburgh, I could see that his turrets were pointed in my direction, so it's more than likely that he was the only enemy ship looking to fire in my general direction. So I wasn't too worried about that. Now, got some other fire possibly going to come in from the Charles Martel. No, he's actually looking at the Bayern, probably looking to set some fires over there. So I'm able to maintain this position and continue looking to set some fires. Now, I have to admit that I can't remember whether or not this was the same build that I had at the time, but this is my current Kutuzov build. In terms of captain skills, as you can see, I've elected to go for the IFHE option, despite the reduced fire chance, and these are the equipment slots that I've decided to take. Now, the Kutuzov can equip either defensive AA or Hydro Search, but in my opinion, the Kutuzov is primarily a long-range HE spammer, so the usefulness of Hydro is quite limited in my opinion. Now, with the advance around the corner of the enemy Shardforce, I've decided to use the first of my 3 smoke charges. And what I'm really looking to do here is hopefully set an additional fire so that the tick damage will keep going over. But because of my IFHE captain skill, I'm able to consistently do a fair amount of damage to the tier 7 German battleship. Now he's used his damage control party, mainly because he's running out of hit points, and the tick damage, in addition to all the additional damage from incoming fire, is adding up. He's a bit concerned, and as is quite often the case, as soon as your damage control party goes down, if you've hit it whilst you're still under fire, then you can bet your bottom dollar that as soon as the timer runs out, you're going to be set on fire again, and this no doubt spells doom for the Scharnhorst. There he goes. Now the enemy Erland is out on the flank and has actually made himself visible, and it's at this point I make a bit of an error in judgment. See, sending off a couple of shots towards the Erland, and I see that the de Grasse is going off to intercept him, so I assume that de Grasse should be able to handle the Erland by himself. Might well have Hydro, and so I turn out and go to try to help Mr. G, and unbeknownst to me, the de Grasse turns back around. Mr. G's found an unwanted friend in his smoke. He's distracting him away from setting some fires. If I remember correctly, Mr. G had some choice words to say, and elected not to get his point across in chat. Now, whilst all this was going on, Dave decided to back around south after capturing C and see if he could snag the B cap, but unfortunately he's attracted the attention of the enemy Lexington and also the Fubuki closing in on him to try and finish him off. Now, unfortunately, Lexington is trying to go after him, but with torpedo planes, not the most effective thing to do to try and kill a destroyer. Although I admit I had no idea whether or not he has many rocket planes available on deck, so maybe he's just trying to make the best of a bad situation. But unfortunately, on the B cap, Dave's now succumbed to the attack of the Fubuki, and G is looking pretty low, so I decide to stop tunnel visioning and make my way over to help out as best I can. Now, as I'm approaching, I can see there's the NorCal able to get shots in over at Mr. G. I ask G if he wants any smoke, but he insists he's okay, should be alright. And it's just about to go dark, so I think, right, where can I get myself into a position where I can start sending fire back towards the North Carolina, hopefully distract him away from blind shooting at G by giving him another target, and squaring myself up to a position where I can hopefully take advantage of the de Grasse and the Alba spotting him, smoke up and start to farm the damage in there. And when I get the NorCal set on fire, hopefully then switch over to the Queen Elizabeth that's also in the area. So I'm just paused waiting for the de Grasse to spot the North Carolina again, sending over some blind shots. Fairly confident I should be able to connect with him. He was only reversing relatively slowly. And no, managed to miss all of the shots in fact, but never mind. And he's shown up, and I can now smoke up and try to set some fires. As I said, if I'm able to set some fires and then able to switch over to the Queen Elizabeth, the Alba is moving in on Queen Elizabeth. I remember thinking to myself at the time, he's not got long left for this world. This is probably not going to end up the way he wants it to. Either by chance or by intention, he's managed to time his turn between or just before the Queen Elizabeth reloads. Queen Elizabeth fluffs his shots at point blank range, and he's able to torp him for the kill. So top marks to the Alba there. The Danis is coming round, trying to take advantage of the stricken Alba, who's beached himself. And I'm trying to do my best to take advantage of the Danis's focus on the Alba with some fire of my own, albeit with limited success. And the question for me is now, how much damage can I get on the Dallas before this island gets in the way of the low shell trajectory of these guns? Meanwhile, Mr. G was unfortunately spotted by what looks like the Charles Martel, and the Goodie managed to get a shot over and finish him off. Now, a quick look at the scores is that we're in touching distance of their scores on points. However, we're looking significantly at a disadvantage whereas ships are concerned. So it becomes all the more important to try and get a kill. Can I get the kill on the Danis before the island gets in the way? The train marker comes up. I try to lift up to compensate, but the island eats all of the shells. Now there's the Southern Dragon over in the distance. Hard not to see him with that kind of camouflage on there. I charge forward. Can I finish off the Danis before turning my sights back on the Southern Dragon? It's always important to try and minimize or reduce the number of guns shooting back at you whenever possible. Managed to get the Danis, decap him, and hopefully should be able to finish off the Southern Dragon here without too much trouble. Even if I do take into consideration my relatively potato aiming. Oh, got a fire. Can I finish him off? Not damage conning. Send another salvo out just in case, but he should be burning out there. Yes, indeed, he goes down. So that's the right hand flank from my perspective dealt with. Let's see what I can do over at the B cap, trying to take advantage of the Bayern spotting whilst reversing around the island. Unfortunately, the Fubuki comes out. This is one of those situations where I wish I had Hydro, but he's turning out. More than likely, if he had sent torpedoes, they would be against the Bayern, so I'm not too concerned. Yep, there are the torpedoes. He is smoking up. Quite a decent torp brush by the Fubuki. I'm sending out some 8km torps just in case he's slowed down. And I notice that the Norcal is coming around the corner. Now at this point, I potato hard. I press the H key to have a quick look at the smoke firing penalty of my ship, and I completely misread it. It's indeed 7.7 kilometers, Seb, not 7.1 as I misread it. I thought I could just smoke up, get one salvo off and accelerate away, but I realised I'd get spotted straight away, so I might as well just carry on firing. Norcal looks like he's going to go down. Govitsia's coming out behind him. Now, really should be firing AP at this sort of range, but now he's turned out, so definitely stick with the HE. Still got time before the Fubuki becomes a threat again with his torpedo reloading. But what I'm really worried about is the Charles Martel with those devastating 203s that it has. So let's get bow in towards the Charles Martel, still trying to finish off the Govitia. And the Massachusetts is also pitching in as best he can with his secondaries and main battery fire. Now taking a bit of a chance, hoping that the Charles Martel is not in a position to shoot at me as I head north and effectively duck into cover. But there's some shells coming in. Fortunately, they're only overpens. And I finally managed to finish off the Govitia. The Fubuki has been spotted by either Massachusetts or the Lexington's planes, and it's me frantically asking the Lexington to finish him, but fortunately the Massachusetts was able to do so with a close quarters expert award. Now, at this point, I've got the bit between my teeth. I'm thinking, right, let's go and have a go at this Charles Martel. I know that he can't overmatch my bow armor, so if I just stay relatively bow into him, I should be okay. But fortunately for me, the island's in the way, so I'm able to get some salvos off before I'm spotted. The enemy Lexington's got some planes coming in, and there I am, I'm lit up, but the Charles Martel is trying to avoid the drop from our Lexington, so he's turning away. He's going to hit the island. I'm not too concerned by this Lexington strike squad coming in. Turn on my defensive fire for what it's worth. The guns of the Charles Martel are looking in the wrong direction. At best, he's going to be able to get his rear turret off of me. And I'm hoping that I can just finish him off. Nearly there. And no. There's a Confederate reward to add to the high caliber. And surely, yes, there we go. Kraken unleashed. Only one enemy left. It's the CV. And he's sending everything he can at me. Clearly, I'm his biggest threat. And at this point, I'm thinking, right, I've had enough of this guy. Time to finish him off. Let's rack up as many plane kills as I can. And finish off the game. Can I manage to get the Defensive AA Expert Award? Because I believe that's what it's called. Nearly there. Go on. Torpedo planes could kill me. Can I get the kill? Turn in, try to avoid the top drop. Oh, that torpedo's coming towards me. Is this going to be close? And I take it on the nose. Fortunately, I would imagine there's a certain amount of damage saturation on my bow. Very small amount of damage taken there from the Lexington aerial torpedo. And I'm able... There's the AA Defensive Expert Award. And I can now finish off the enemy CV and secure the game. So there you go. The Kutuzov, an oldie, but still a goodie. And I'll leave you with the end result screens. Thank you very much for joining me. Stay safe, and I hope to see you next time.